Newsom bans plants and fences around homes. Wow, Gavin Newsom, one of the worst governors in our country, is destroying California even more by banning plants and fences because, the environment and stuff like that. They want to try to stop fires, even though there's absolutely no evidence to show that getting rid of trees and plants and fences around your home will stop the fires in California. There's absolutely no evidence, no studies to show that this will work. They just come up with these things out of thin air because they want to. Newsom and the rest of the leftists want to control every aspect of your life. It's despicable. But we're gonna play the clip from Carlo DeMayo from Reform California. Hear what he has to say about it. He's doing wonderful, wonderful work out there in California to try to bring some common sense to that state. And shout out my subscriber, my Patreon subscriber, Copper Mutant, aka Copper Skies, for bringing this to my attention. So we're gonna play the clip, but before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. There's a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get right to the clip. Here we go.
Let's get into this initiative, this executive order that's going to impact the homeowners across the state of California. It's called the Zone Zero Rule, and Newsom's executive order implements or imposes regulations for any home in Zone Zero. Zone Zero is a home that has higher, not highest, but higher fire risk. If you live in suburbia, chances are your home is in Zone Zero. If you are in a rural area, most definitely your home is in Zone Zero. So we're talking about roughly 2.5 million homeowners will fall under Zone Zero under Newsom's regulation. Oh, it gets worse. What does it require? Under Zone Zero regulations, no landscaping materials that can be ignited by embers are permitted within 5 feet of structures. Now, you might say, well, this is good for safety, right, Carl? No. In a moment, I'll explain why it really doesn't matter at all to protect your house from burning down. What it will do is impose billions in costs. Typical homeowner, at least $5,000, if not 10 to 20 grand of costs to implement these rules. Opponents say that Zone Zero rules are not science-based, and they're actually bad for the environment because you're eliminating trees that cycle carbon dioxide.
Yeah, it's not science-based. There's absolutely no evidence behind this. They're pushing this, and they say they will eliminate thousands of trees. And someone who lives in a place in a big city that don't have that many trees, I'm talking about here in Houston, it can be detrimental for people's mental health. We need trees, not only because it's beautiful, but because we need the trees for to recycle the CO2. It's crazy that they want to get these. They call themselves environmentalists, but want to get rid of trees. Make that make sense.
So we've got these new rules, and what they're saying is that by doing 5 feet of space, getting rid of materials, that a home might be better protected. I don't see that at all. When these catastrophic fires come through, it is an absolute blaze. Mm-hmm. And so 100 feet of defensible space is sometimes not enough. What are they requiring that you remove? They're requiring that you remove plants, not just trees. Fences. If your fence is wooden or could catch on fire, your fence would have to be replaced. Have you gotten a bid for replacing a fence? It's very expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you have a wooden fence within 5 feet of a side of your home or all sides of your home, you're going to have to pay 15 grand to replace that fence. So when I say that if you're lucky, it's 5 grand per homeowner, and I don't think many homeowners just have 5 grand lying around because Governor Gavin Newsom has decided, I hereby decree, because he's what, in a $10 million mansion in Marin County, and who knows who paid for it.
So of course it wouldn't apply to him because his fence is not 5 feet from his house. You know, he lives in a mansion and stuff like that. Gate is probably gated. I'm not sure. And if it is gated, it's definitely not 5 feet from the house. And you can't have any plants. So people out there with green thumbs that love growing flowers and plants and stuff like that, you can't do that either. Like, again, there's no science behind this. So how are they coming up with this stuff? It's because it's about power, it's about control. They don't care anything about science when it comes to pushing their agenda.
And so here is the mysafela.org, which is a government website, description of the new rules. So here you have the 5 feet mark. Notice that there's nothing there. There's nothing. There's a metal fence. There's nothing but rocks around in every direction. There's not even a damn potted plant. They've even said that mulch has to be removed.
Mulch?
In the regulation. Plants, fences, mulch, not just a large tree. And again, I wouldn't even argue that the tree within 5 feet is necessarily a do or die situation. That is zone 0 regulations. How many people are we talking about? We're talking about roughly 2.5 million homeowners. If it's 10 grand of costs, let's assume that it's 10 grand in costs. Because again, you hire a landscaper to come in and take out all your plants. What are you going to replace it with? Ugly? You got to replace it with something. Most people like their plants. They like their mulch. They like their trees. They like their wooden fence. So at least 5 grand, I think, is the lowest end. If you decide to live with just getting a gardener to come and clear it all out. By the way, where are we going to put all this stuff? Our landfills are already precious commodities in terms of space.
Mm-hmm. Another question is, how are you going to enforce it? What'll happen? What's the penalty behind it? I think that's the real thing here. They're probably going to penalize the crap out of people if they don't do this. So this is a way to get money from the people. They know people can't afford to move their fences. They know people can't afford to knock down trees that's in front of their house. They know that people can't afford to do entire landscaping right now. So they're using this to find people to get more money into their coffers because California is hemorrhaging money. They're not making their people are fleeing California, so people aren't really, they're losing a lot of their tax revenue. I think this is a way for California to get more tax revenue. That's what this is, because they're going to fine the hell out of people for not doing this. And this is how they're going to be able to try to manage their California going to try to manage their budget this way, is to tax people, fine people for not doing this executive order here. That's what I think what is really going on here.
You have all of these homes, 2.5 million homes, suddenly doing all this landscape work. Your gardener cost, your landscaper cost is going through the roof. No one has thought through the cost of this. So 5 grand, I think, is almost not even defensible. It's too low. But let's say 10 grand is what each homeowner does. Some homeowners are going to be a lot more than that. As I said, if you're getting rid of a wooden fence completely around your home, it could be 15. And that's just the fence. At 10 grand times 2.5 million, that's $25 billion.
Wow.
This regulation is more than 2 times what the state of California collects in gas taxes and car taxes every year. This is a sucker punch.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nuclear weapon detonation to the cost of living in California.
Yeah, and again,
but the media
they know people can't afford this. So why are they doing this? They're doing this, I think, so they can rack up money in fines. That's what I think this is really just what's truly going on here.
Seem to be focusing on it. And look, this My Safe LA website has been up since February 2025. But now the regulations are getting to the point where they're kicking in. People are starting to hear about this. They're getting notices that they have to do this. And you know what is hitting the fan? Oh, the politicians don't seem to be willing to back down. They're doubling and tripling down. Now, here's why this is not going to be valuable for safety. First, I would argue that a lot of the things that they want to get rid of within 5 feet are not necessarily deal breakers in terms of proposing risk to your home. Sure, if you have a lot within 100 feet, you have a problem. But plants, not so much. Secondly, government has failed to do its job for fire mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting on millions of acres of land that's overgrown.
They refuse
that
to
is
cut
catastrophically high fire risk.
Yeah.
And the
The
government,
environmentalists will not allow Gavin Newsom and them to go on and clean up the forest, clean up those trees, clean up that debris to prevent fires because they don't want to disturb wildlife or whatever. I think that's the rationale behind it or something like that. They want it to grow on its own. It makes absolutely no sense. Every other developed world go in and clean up their debris in the forests and in the woods and stuff like that to prevent fires, except for California. And wonder why the fires be raging year after year. It has nothing to do with the environment. It has everything to do with the environmentalists.
is negligent. They're not doing their job. They're not thinning the forest. They're not clearing. They're not doing controlled burns. The California Air Resources Board bans fire districts from even having a controlled burn. Oh,
Crazy.
It releases CO2 into the atmosphere. What do you think a catastrophic fire does?
Facts.
So while they're focusing on your 5 feet of space around your home, what have they done for their millions and millions of acres of public lands at the city level, the county level, and the state level that Gavin Newsom and these Democrats have absolutely mismanaged and have no inclination to clean up and fix?
They're not even trying.
And they leave all these homeless people in canyons, in open space, with grills and fires and campsites. But no, can't get rid of that. No, you got to get rid of a fence. You've got to get rid of your plants. You've got to spend $10,000 at least, $5,000 if you're lucky. This is not going to save a home if there is a massive fuel load on all the land around your home that's on government property in the canyons that have been poorly maintained by local government. Your home's going to burn down anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a $25 billion sucker punch. And by the way, once they start with this, they're going to say, oh, we need to expand Zone Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone needs to get in on the action. Must be nice to live in a $10 million mansion in Marin County, Governor Newsom.
Of course, it doesn't apply.
At Reform California, we are leading the fight for sensible policy. I introduced a bill requiring the state of California and local government to do its damn job to maintain and thin the forest and maintain public lands, to do fuel reduction, to thin the vegetation, to clean up the brush, and to do controlled burns. The Democrats killed the bill in committee. They don't want any sort of accountability on their fire risk. Mm-mm. Instead, they micromanage you and leave you stuck with the bill. And with a home that's less enjoyable. Help us fight back at reformcalifornia.org. Check out Zone Zero regulations. Find out if your home is within the Zone Zero. And then read up on some of the regulations. This website in Los Angeles does have a basic breakdown of a lot of the requirements. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator.
I don't understand why anyone would still continue to live in California. I understand the weather is beautiful. The state is beautiful itself. They got beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. But Why would you want to just because of the weather you would put up with this nonsense from the politicians? They tax you into oblivion. They control every aspect of your life. You can't even have a freaking plant in front of your house in California any longer because of these crazy leftists, because of Gavin Newsom. I don't understand why anyone in their right mind with means will want to continue to live in California. It makes no sense to me. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.